Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my brother my inheritance? I want to start this by saying this. I am not my parents' favorite child. As much as this might sound absurd or even biased, which might be, there's no other way to describe my family. I'm the youngest sibling, third child, and I have a sister, oldest, and a brother. My sister and my brother are just a bit older than me, at 23 and 21, while I just turned 18 last August. Throughout my life, I've always known my parents didn't particularly like me. They would treat my siblings a lot better, give them better clothes and gifts, and even gave them allowances. I was never treated badly, but I was never given anything like that. To be honest, I don't even remember the last time my parents gave me a gift for my birthday, or even congratulated me for that matter. This was the reason I started working as a part-timer since I turned 13. Washing cars, cutting grass, washing driveways, etc. That's how I managed to have some money should I need or buy things I wanted. For example, while my parents gave my siblings laptops once they got to high school, I needed to buy my own. Which is fine. They don't need to give me anything. I'm not entitled to it. But it made me very self-conscious about myself. Now to the main point. My grandfather was a very kind man, and when he passed away, he left in his will. I'm not really sure about how this works, as I know almost nothing about the law. Inheritances for his grandchildren, my siblings and myself, to finance our studies, college housing, etc. As I understand, this money would only be possible to be used after the person is 18. Now, my sister went to college and is almost graduating. My brother, however, has changed his course 4 times in the last 2 years, and every time he did that, there was a large cost associated with it, especially since he aimed for expensive colleges. Now he spent a large part of his inheritance, but probably won't be able to finance any course to the end. This is my main problem. My parents came to me and asked me to give my brother my part of the inheritance, as he has had that problem. Thing is, I'll be taking the college entrance exams in November/December, and by giving him this inheritance, I won't be able to do that, as I won't be able to afford college at all. I told them it was absurd, and it wasn't my fault that he wasted his part of the inheritance. Their answer was, he's your brother and he needs help. He'll help you pay for your studies once he graduates. That means I would need to postpone college for at least 4 to 5 years. I obviously don't want to do that and told my parents that it was my decision. As you would assume, they didn't take that lightly. They've taken to call me an ungrateful child and an a-hole for not thinking about family. I'm constantly being shunned in my house, to the point that it's making me feel like a trash of a person. Am I such a monster? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. I strongly suspect that your brother wouldn't help you if, not when, he eventually graduates. The money was left to you for your education. You shouldn't feel any guilt for using it for its intended purpose. Yep, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You'll never give Opie the money. Not the a-hole. This is the money you got and it's yours. You aren't obligated to contribute it to your brother. From the description of your post, I don't think he would help you finance your studies either. Help has to be bilateral, and it doesn't sound like he endeavored to help you throughout your life or defended you when you were in a bad position in comparison to him. You had to sustain yourself during your life, and work hard in order to achieve what you have. You deserve to have a prepaid college and focus on school now. Your parents lack any say in what you allocate the money for. Not stay home. And tell your parents if they do touch your part of the inheritance that is meant for your schooling, you'll take legal action against both them and your brother. I know that sounds harsh, but if they are treating you like crap and now want to screw you out of your money, fight back. This is very important to inform them of this before they take/steal it. Send your parents an email referring to your proposition to give your inheritance to your brother, as he's responsibly squandered his own. You are formally telling them you do not give permission, and will take any and all legal action if you find at 18 the penny is missing. They may take it anyway, and claim you were happy to gift it. Ensure you have proof now that is not the case, and scare them off first. Not stay home. Honestly, Opie should go visit a lawyer. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help pay for my half-brother's LVAD? Others won't help unless I do. I, male 34, come from a highly dysfunctional family. I didn't realize that when I was younger. I had 3 other siblings, biological and half. My dad, rest in peace, was not a good man. He got married right after my mom died and had my 2 half-brothers. My stepmother and I don't have the best relationship. Heck, I haven't seen her since I graduated high school. I only saw her at my father's funeral 7 years ago. My dad was mad at me for leaving home and not acting like a family member, when all he did was ignore me and my brother and spoil his younger boys. I was about to leave town, but my stepmother then called to invite me along with my older bio brother to attend my father's will hearing. We attended and the whole family was there, including my younger half-brothers who didn't even say condolences. My stepmom decided to do the will reading, and a lawyer was present. To my stepmom, the house had all of my father's personal possession. To my older half-brother Eric, my father's summer home and my father's classic car. To my youngest half-brother Morgan, $250,000 at a mechanic shop. Then to my biological older brother James and I, Dad's golf clubs, his old camera, cookbooks, and few shelves to keep them. James and I were stunned. James went hysteric yelling, saying someone had tampered with a will. But I replied that no, it's just Dad being a narcissistic a-hole punishing us for not playing family. James and I struggled a lot with finances for years, while our two half-siblings got luxury and sources of income. I stayed low contact for years after. I have decent aunts/uncles, but kept hearing about Eric's disease. I heard he lost the summer home and was struggling with money for medical bills. Then my uncle called recently saying Eric is very sick, and I needed to attend a family meeting to put money together for his LVAD. I said, why not his brother pay? And uncle said he refused to pay till all brothers contribute equally, which is fair. I asked, fair how? When James and I received nothing compared to my half-siblings, but he said my problem is with Dad, not them. I found the device is worth over $100,000, and I told him I'm not attending and won't help with anything. My dad's family got involved, saying Eric is suffering, and lost most of his belongings and that I should help. James agreed to help, but I refused, which made me feel more pressured. They told me Morgan won't pay till all brothers contribute equally, and that by saying no, I was ruining it. Not today, home. Tell Morgan he'll contribute to our entire inheritance, and to be fair, he can do the same. And in the effort of fairness, I'm sure Morgan gave OP $125,000 at half the value of the mechanics shop right after the will reading, right? Not today, home. Sounds like Morgan is trying to guilt and shame everyone to pay for his brother's treatment. Why would you bear any responsibility to pay for their medical treatment? Are they paying your bills? Have they ever? Where were they when you needed help? Sure, it would be kind and selfless to do so, but they are not asking for kindness, but expecting your payment and applying undue pressure to get it. Not cool. Also, you are not a saint, but a human trying to support yourself in a tough world. Why should anyone but your immediate family expect you to support them financially? Also, I hate the response your issues with Dad. Well, when Dad's will was unfair, did they ever think to maybe try to make it right by sharing anything from their inheritance with you? Or let me guess, they took the goods and ran. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to co-sign for my brother's mortgage? My brother has never been great with money, and neither was his wife. They recently had their third child, and in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's been crazy, so they decided to purchase a home. They have a large dog, and renting is very difficult, almost impossible with 3 children and a dog, so they've been stuck in that 2-bedroom for 4 years. My brother actually makes a pretty good amount of money, over $100,000, but is terrible at self-control, and they usually live paycheck to paycheck. So they saved 20% for a home and got an accepted offer for a duplex, but the bank won't lend to them because of his credit card debt. I don't know exactly how much, she said it was around $40,000, and his bad credit history. My parents aren't able to borrow more money from the bank as they have their own mortgage, and they are now all looking to me to sign for my brother's mortgage. I have an apartment but it's mostly paid off, so I could help them and maybe the banks would okay them then. But I'm scared my brother will stop paying or be late on his payments, but my credit will suffer. I work in an industry that does credit checks for employment, so a bad credit could affect my future job prospects. And I'm getting a mortgage myself as I don't plan on being in my apartment forever. He has begged me and asked our parents to beg me, but I don't trust his self-control when it comes to his money. My mother yelled at me that her grandchildren are all crammed together in a tiny apartment, when I could just lend my credit to them and I wouldn't even have to pay anything. But I feel like I'll end up responsible for the debt if it doesn't get paid. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Do not do this. Do not do this. No, no, no. Do not do this. You will end up owing money. Your brother won't pay. You won't be able to or won't be notified. The bank will repossess the house. It will be sold for less than the outstanding balance, and you will be on the hook for the remaining amount. If the house is destroyed or sells for far less than he owes, you can end up nearly paying for the entire amount of the house with nothing to show for it. This is just a bad idea all around. Not a home. Anyone that gives you crap can co-sign for him instead. 100%. But mom saying Opie should just share their good credit is a huge a-hole. This can damage someone's entire future, and brother is clearly a bad risk. A bad risk. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for threatening a lawsuit against my daughter-in-law? Hi, I am a grandma and I own a pretty good business in accounting. I'm not filthy rich, but I surely have a good amount of money and I've set aside a lot of money for my grandson for college, or for a house if he decides not to go to college. Every year for his birthday for the past 8 years, I've given him around $800 a year for Christmas and his birthday so he can enjoy himself. It's quite a hefty sum of money, but he's a great child, and I believe he deserves the money. He is 15 at the moment. Well, recently came forward and told me that for 5 years my daughter-in-law has stolen a lot of money from him, and some from my son as well. It turned out that she was spending a lot of money to herself. I decided to pretend that my grandson's money would be going towards college funds. It was usually through gift cards, so how would it even go towards a college in the first place? Not only this, but apparently he was barely even fed and didn't get basic necessities a lot of the time. 6 years ago, she broke up with my son and dated a man whose salary was well enough to make sure my grandson was getting what he needs. They weren't in poverty. I was furious. Not only was the money I gave my grandson to have fun being used by someone who I didn't even like in the first place, but my grandson was being neglected when they could have given him the basic necessities. I recently emailed my daughter-in-law, telling her how much she owes me and if she doesn't pay it back by the end of the year, I'm getting my lawyers involved. Well, she was furious and started using the fact that her boyfriend is a military sniper as a way to threaten me into dropping the charges. I told her I refused to do so and ignored her after that, knowing if she continued to threaten me, all she's doing is incriminating herself. My other son, who is also an employee of mine, said I was being too harsh on her and should have just let it go, and that I already have enough money as is to pay him back. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Before I get asked about this, yes, CPS was involved. There's already a case against her, but this is out of CPS realm entirely. Grandson lives with my son already, but official custody arrangements haven't been given out yet, and they aren't divorced. If she is bragging about him being a military sniper, I can guarantee you that he is in fact not a military sniper. Edit. I'm so sorry I forgot to tell you that you are 100% not the a-hole. Your intentions are to keep your grandson safe. Definitely speak to a lawyer to know what rights you may or may not have. Could a daughter-in-law and her military sniper boyfriend get in trouble for her threats? If he is in the military, that seems like something they would take issue with. Just a quick side note. Stop sending literally any money or gift cards to your grandson. Instead, just put money in an account for him and let him know. He's old enough to understand and value this. If you do get him a gift, make it a physical gift and not money/gift card. As for the money that was already taken, it might be difficult to get any of that back without documentation. If you have a lawyer, it's worth a conversation though. See what he or she thinks of it. I've stopped already. I plan on putting all future funds in his college savings account until he's 18. Any gifts from now on will be clothing, or me buying things for him while he is right there with me so he can pick out what he wants. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for never buying gifts for my ex's step-kids? Ex and I have 2 kids together. Our daughter is 15 and our son is 13. Our breakup was pretty nasty, and custody is pretty complicated ever since. Ex decided without telling me that he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad and quit his job after the birth of our daughter. It was a rocky time for us, but I had no issue with him staying home. He said he would talk to me first in the future and we moved on. But he was an awful stay-at-home parent. He didn't cook or clean, refused to go back to work, and would leave all the general chores to me. He took decent care of the kids, and that was the most important thing. It was just how little he invested into anything else. Then I found out he was only married to me because of my success and paycheck, so I divorced him. At first he was supposed to get equal custody, but then the judge found out he was lying about his ability to get a job so he could get child and spousal support, which he didn't qualify for the latter anyway. But the former would be based on his income. And he did have a good job after I kicked him out, so it wasn't possible. Anyway, I ended up with primary and he ended up with every other weekend, which increased after he realized I wasn't going to support him. He got married 5 years ago. His wife has 5 of her own kids, but my kids get along okay-ish with them. They feel like they don't really have much in common with them, and they complain about the cramped space in their dads, but no huge problem with anyone. I never bought for stepkids. I always felt it was X's responsibility to do it with our kids. He always complained and I ignored it. But in the last year and a half, it's been more and more complaints. Right before the start of everything shutting down, I got my kids a Switch each so they could play games easier. Both them and I love the game. Then I got a family console for the new gen last year, though I only got that in June of this year. X knows about the stuff I have bought, and he's livid that I buy the stuff for our kids, but never give gifts to his stepkids. Or as he put it, buy gifts from our kids to his stepkids. He thinks it should be my job, since it would be extra gifts and more money spent on his stepkids, who have nobody but him and his wife who care. It's caused a lot more tension of late. I feel like this is just him trying to use me again. But these are kids, so I wonder, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your ex is being ridiculous. It's not your responsibility to buy anything for stepkids. Not the a-hole. You can't demand that you buy them stuff. It's not your liability to sustain the stepkids. You don't have a familial affiliation with them whatsoever. It sounds like your ex-husband is jealous of the things you can provide for your kids because of your lucrative income and only 2 kids. Maybe it feels like there is an expectation of him to buy those things too. They always keep them here, with the exception of friends' houses. I don't like the idea of their kids seeing what mine have and making them jealous, but I also don't want anyone there trying to keep them. Not today, home. You are not responsible for anyone but your own kids. How is the new wife with you? Is that relationship okay? Nope. At one time it was okay at first. Then after they got married, a fight over Christmas came up, and things have not been okay since. Basically, we have this thing in our city where they do a Christmas village, and you can test out some of the upcoming cool stuff, but you need to pay. They wanted me to pay for them to go as a family because I brought my kids. She expected I would say yes. I never got over that I didn't. I ruined my family's life and I don't regret it. All names are changed. This all happened 10 years ago when I was 19. Around the holidays, I found out my then boyfriend Kevin was cheating on me with my older sister Jen. I was beyond devastated because Jen and I were really close and she was my role model. Not only that, but Kevin was honestly my first big love, so it was really crushing. Everything was made so much worse when my parents sided with Jen. She had always been a bit of the golden child, but my parents had never shown their favoritism to this extent. They kept telling me that these things happen, but family always forgives, and crap like that. It made me cry a lot, and I kept telling them that I couldn't forgive them. My dad told me to stop being so dramatic. My mom said I was a disappointment because she raised me better. Jen just said she was sorry, but she and Kevin really loved each other, and they never meant to hurt me. I honestly just felt so alone and depressed and worthless. I was like a zombie for months. I mostly just slept and refused to talk to my sister. My parents kept telling me to move on because even if it hurt, Jen was still my sister and she was more important than some guy. Eventually, it was too much and I decided to end myself. I was so convinced that Kevin was the love of my life and I just couldn't get over how he betrayed me and how my family made me feel so alone and crazy. I wrote a very angry and depressing final note that talked about everything that had happened and scheduled it to be published on my Tumblr after I died. Fortunately, my roommate/best friend Alice found me after I overdosed on pills. I was unconscious for a while before I woke up. Then I was put into hold because I was still very obviously self-ending and was considered a danger to myself. I was in there for a while and only had contact with my grandparents, since they were the only ones I wanted to talk to at a time. When I finally got to go home, it was my grandparents who picked me up and took me to their house. They are the reason why I'm still here right now, and I love them more than anything in the world. They put me in therapy, got my medication, and were with me the whole time. I never asked about my family, and they never told me anything either. At the time, I just assumed they were mad at me for being dramatic. Then, I got the real story from Alice a month later. Her then-girlfriend had been angry on my behalf and shared my Tumblr post on her Facebook. She even tagged my parents, Jen, and Kevin and called them out. Her then-girlfriend was also one of those people who had over 1,000 friends, so the post got shared, and my family and Kevin were attacked by family, friends, and strangers. It was a crap show. A lot of people called Jenny whore, and my parents heartless monsters. My mom was ostracized by her church. My dad's friends stopped talking to him. A lot of Jen's friends were disgusted by her behavior and ditched her. Kevin got backlash too, because he lied to his super religious family that we had broken up amicably and said God guided him to Jen. My grandparents told my mom, their daughter, that she was dead to them for how much she and my family hurt me. They were the ones that forced my parents and Jen to back off and leave me alone, and to never contact me until I reached out to them. But I never did, because they were dead to me too. Jen and Kevin ended up breaking up after his parents sent him away to find Jesus again. I have no idea what became of him. Jen had to move to get away from everyone calling her a whore. I haven't spoken or even seen her in 10 years. Last I heard, she's got 3 kids from 2 different men and she's not with either of them. My parents became social outcasts and are now just homebodies. We rarely talk and it's all superficial. They missed my birthdays, my graduation, my engagement, and even my wedding. They won't be part of my child's life either. I know it hurts them. I tell people around me that I don't care about them or their feelings, which is true to an extent. But in reality, I'm glad. I'm glad they're hurting and suffering. I'm glad their lives suck and they're all unhappy. I shouldn't be, and I haven't told anyone, not even my therapist, how I actually feel about my family now. I know this is probably just my resentment and it's probably not healthy, but I can't help it. I almost ended myself over what they did, so it feels almost like karmic justice to see them hurting now. I even kind of hope they feel like how I've felt, alone and like no one cares about them. I'll tell my therapist one day, but I just wanted to say to the void for now. Now for the top comments. If destroying them gave you your sanity back, congratulations. Your grandparents sound great and loving. Spend as much time as you can with them. I'm glad you're enjoying life now. My grandparents are the best. I spend time with them as often as I can, and they've been a part of all my big milestones. You didn't ruin your family's life. They did that all on their own. I'm glad you have your grandparents in your corner. Your parents and sister, I can't even imagine how that must have felt. I'm glad you're at a better place in your life now, OP. I wish you and your family the best. My grandparents have always been on my side. I'm lucky to have them. Sometimes, in regards to my immediate family, I want to ask if it was worth it. But thank you. I'm happier now than I've ever been. Your parents just didn't think you had a power to hurt their little perfect lives and went for the least resistance path. Let your ex be with your sister, otherwise, what would have other people thought? Well, you messed all of them up and showed them that you have the power to create your own path, and they had to put up with all their lies and crappy behavior. The best revenge is living a great life. Virtual hugs. Next story. My sister being abused by my ex-fiancé, but I don't care, and I won't be helping her. 5 years ago, my older sister Jess slept with my ex-fiancé John. It was one of those I've loved him for years situations for Jess, or so she claimed back then, so she took her shot to get with him, even as the mistress he hides away. And John? Well, he was mad back then because I didn't fight for our relationship. Suffice to say that when I found out they were screwing around, I mentally thought, wow, these people are pathetic. I had no intentions of fighting, arguing, begging, and never even cried now that I think about it. Even back then, I was a one-and-done kind of person. I cut my mother off for cheating on my dad. I cut off friends who cheated on their partners even when we were stupid kids. Cheating isn't a mistake. It takes me off thinking about it. Just crying and telling me, you have to understand, like I hadn't caught her screwing my fiancé in my bed in my condo. Or John yelling at me saying, if you ever loved me, you'd fight for me, or cry for me, or do something. And then the most hilarious line of, maybe if you put out more, I wouldn't have strayed. And seriously, I was always the one initiating even before our engagement. And I had stopped bothering because he claimed his libido was lower than mine. I know for a fact that I'm a good lay, he just never wanted to put any effort in. And even if I hadn't been trying to have sex regularly, that is not an excuse to cheat. I tossed them out, packed up my crap, canceled everything but the honeymoon, and got refunds. I sent John's family their 25% contribution and security footage of John screwing my sister in the living room. It went back to the day he moved in, and the idiot probably forgot I had security cameras inside. And that was beyond petty, but despite how much his family loved me, I also knew that his doting father and grandmother would never believe John was capable of cheating on me without some kind of proof. I didn't need them harassing my family like they did others for lying about their family. I had also evicted John and then had an agent sell my condo while I turned my would-be honeymoon into a solo thank duck I'm free trip. And when I came back, I moved. Again, one and done kind of girl. Cheaters, liars, betrayers, and perverse jerks do not deserve forgiveness nor second chances. I learned that with my parents' situation. You give a second chance, they'll do it over and over again. Then scream, "You said you forgave me," and I can't help it. It meant nothing, while victimizing themselves. It took my dad years to stop forgiving my mother, but I will never make that mistake. In 5 years, Jess and John got married because she was pregnant, moved into her apartment together, and now have 3 children, 4 male, 3 male, and newborn girl. They have no friends, no familial support beyond my mother. My dad is apparently involved with his grands but does not help financially, nor does he babysit or even let John into his house. I was visiting my dad when Jess showed up at his house in the middle of the night. She had her children with her, had a black eye, marks on her neck, and bruises on her arm. I was worried as my dad brought them all in. That worry disappeared the moment she said John got angry at her because I'm not OP. She was blubbering about all the things John expected of her and how he essentially wanted her to be me, Little Miss Perfect, even though I'm the one that didn't want him. Dad tried to stop her multiple times, but I told her to keep going. Her tirade was how it should have been me he hated and hit, not her. That John lost his family because of me. They only have our mother as help because of me. That I didn't love him enough to fight or be with him no matter the circumstance like she did. That everything falling apart was on me, not her. And that she was sick of how I ran away and yet still managed to ruin her relationship with John. Even her wedding was all about how OP would have wanted this, and intimacy always ends with sex with OP was better. You need to try harder. And apparently in Jess's eyes, John beating her for the first time was entirely on me. Wanna know why? Because her children look like our mother instead of me, who looks like my father. That even her children are treated like afterthoughts by John, because he had hoped they'd get good genes. They only had another child because he wanted one to look like me, and that one doesn't either. And then, she said that maybe if I talked to John, things would get better for her. After all that, Dad pretty much told her that her kids will be staying with him, but she was on her own. Go to the police or your mother. Then she turns to me, begging me to convince him otherwise. Like, is she serious? You're in a situation of your own making. You're older than me, decided to screw a taken man, and then married him even after you claimed all he wanted was the woman that abandoned him. You're the one that was cut off from any viable support system by being an awful person. No one deserves to be mistreated, and I don't view it as karma. But Jess stopped being my sister the first time she slept with John. Someone that loves you would never show such blatant hate for you. That goes for both of them. Isn't it funny how once they get the dude, get married and have kids, it all falls apart? A relationship that starts as an affair is never truly healthy. They might stay together, but it is rarely a soulmate situation. By the way, if John was so into you, why didn't he fight for the relationship? Bystanders, at least back then, begging and arguing is how you fight for a relationship. He spent about 3 months doing and saying whatever to anyone dumb enough to listen, trying to get messages to me. And honestly, he got a lot of people cut off by me in the process. So beyond that. Best way to keep a relationship is to not screw your partner over, or just break up with them. At least you can be cordial afterwards. I'd say that she wanted him and she got him. Congratulations. What a prize. Nope, it's not your mess to clean up. Exactly. She made her bed. Now she has to lie in it. Not your responsibility. Last story. I told on my mom's married boyfriend and ruined my life. My mother started having an affair with a married man Bruce over 10 years ago.
My dad left her over it, but she stayed with Bruce with the promise of him divorcing his wife soon. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. After 10 plus years of knowing my mother was the other woman, and after stalking Bruce's wife's socials, I couldn't take it anymore. He's a creepy man that no one in my family can stand, including my 3 other siblings. We've been tasked all these years to keep her dirty secret and treat Bruce as if he's not an adulterer. I took one for the team and sent some anonymous emails out to some contacts I've found through social media. Bruce's wife responded to me and asked to speak, as she had no idea any of this was going on, which I highly suspected despite Bruce's lies all these years, so I sat down and phoned her. We talked for almost 3 hours. She's a nice woman who was nothing but kind to me. She's been married to Bruce for 30 years and had no idea he had a double life. His job allows him to travel frequently. I answered all her questions. During this convo though, I knew my relationship with my mother was over. I knew the details would get back to her and would pinpoint to me. Bruce's wife thanked me over and over and shared she would be divorcing Bruce once she got her finances in order. It was a very emotional conversation, and I'll never forget the sound of her cries as I told her all the details. The next day, I was completely cut off from my mother. I had no way of contacting her, and shortly after that, the harassment of members of my family came flooding in. Messages of disgust towards me and support towards my mother. Everyone turned on me and will no longer speak to me. I can't imagine she's telling them the truth of what I did. I told on her married boyfriend. I'm shocked my family has chosen her side and abandoned me. Sometimes regret washes over me, but in the end, all I did was speed up the inevitable. And I did it for my siblings who couldn't stand his presence anymore. I thought I would get rid of him, but it backfired. Not only are Bruce and my mother getting married, my siblings chose her side and have cut me off. This weighs heavy on my chest. It did for the last 10 years, and now because of what I did, it will continue. Thanks for reading and letting me get it out. Now for the comments. You did the right thing. Although you maybe should have anticipated this would speed up the process on Bruce and his wife getting a divorce. Your mother got what she wanted in the end, so she should be thanking you. For the best, though, she broke up your family by her selfish actions and chose a crappy man over her kids. You probably would have ended up going no contact with her anyways. True. Not sure why mom's so upset about this all being exposed. Like, girly, you've been with a married man for 10 plus years. Clearly you aren't that ashamed. Wait, why is she mad? If you didn't tell, the adulterer would still be married, and wouldn't be marrying your mom. Shouldn't she be thanking you? Unless he never intended to marry your mom and even she knows this. Lol. I'm willing to bet mom is mad because Bruce stands to lose a lot of assets and will possibly have to pay alimony. Hard to say for sure, since we don't know the details of Bruce's marriage. But money's the only thing I can imagine being the reason he didn't leave his wife earlier, and why mom would be so mad. I'm no legal expert, but this is my best guess. Bingo. That's exactly it. Plus, most places, if you're married for longer than 10 years, it would guarantee the wife lifetime alimony as long as she doesn't remarry. Plus, the fact that if she's smart and hires a forensic accountant, any money spent on your mom and family in the last decade is considered marital property and she's entitled to half of it. So if he bought your mom a house, cars, whatever, they will be forced to sell. And or he'll have to pony up that amount during the divorce proceedings. Plus, if they have children together still at home, that's also child support. Dude basically stands to lose everything, and no doubt I wouldn't be surprised if the change in lifestyle causes your mom to look for another suitor. Did it really ruin your life though? I mean, if members of your family are harassing you and supporting your mother because you told your mom's boyfriend's wife that he's been cheating on her for the last 10 years with your mom, then I think that there are trash people who aren't worth your time. You aren't wrong. It's just hard to have everyone hate me so abruptly. Edit. Thank you to all the supportive comments. I have a few people in my corner rooting for me, but these comments have been comforting and therapeutic. The number of family that turned on me, I truly started to worry I was the problem and made a mistake. To answer some questions, money is a huge factor in all of this, which is why my mother/siblings are so angry and not thanking me. I am my mother's oldest daughter. Only my youngest siblings lives with her. We are all adults. I have 2 young children my mother has thrown to the curb for Bruce. They will never know who she is. I am in contact with the wife. She is a lovely woman who is aware of how this unfolded and has been so kind to me. I like to think in another life we would be friends. I've spent a lot of time putting together proof for her so she can get what she deserves out of the divorce. Keeping in touch with the wife angered Bruce and my mother, so much so they told my family I was harassing the wife. That fueled the fire more for my family to hate me. To the few that have commented I should have minded my own business, I wish this never was my business. What a laugh.
Am I the a-hole for not wanting to celebrate my mom on my birthday? I have 3 siblings between the ages of 10 and 18. I'm the oldest, 4th at 25. Every year on every single one of our birthdays, we're expected to celebrate my mom as well. We've done it since we were little. It was taught to me as giving thanks for caring plus giving birth to us, which I'm all for. I'm grateful as we wouldn't be here without her. The issue is, though, it becomes less of our birthday and more so an anniversary for the day our mom gave birth. Every year on our birthday, our mom gets gifts too. As we got older, we're now expected to get her monetary gifts, and not cards or homemade stuff. Just recently was my birthday and I was gifted some much needed clothes and dishware for my new apartment. My dad, however, got my mom a new MacBook. My siblings all got her gifts too. My youngest brother isn't expected to give much, but my 16-year-old sister and 18-year-old second brother work, so they're expected to give gifts too. My sister pulled me aside before my birthday and said she was sorry she couldn't get me much. She got me a sweater, I love it, and that she wanted to get me more, but our mom was pressuring her to get a certain necklace for our mom. Apparently, my mom had been dropping hints for months, and my sister was worried our mom would be upset and feel underappreciated if she didn't get it. I asked how much it was, and my sister said it was $300. I honestly lost it on our mom, and chewed into her later that afternoon when my mom opened her gifts after me. I think she's ridiculous for even wanting my sister to spend so much on a gift. Mom started crying and my dad kicked me out. Mom won't answer calls, but my aunt, mom's sister, called and said I was a POS for not respecting my mother, and that I'm a selfish, narcissist child for being jealous of the gifts mom got. I thought I was in the right, but now I don't know. It's been over 2 weeks and mom won't answer my calls. She's been posting on Facebook inspiration quotes about letting go of toxicity in your life, how blood doesn't equal family, and how hard it is to be a mother. Several family members, and grandma, uncle, and 2 of my cousins are replying to the posts and are very obviously directing vague comments at me about being a horrible daughter. I don't know what to think now because of how many people are on her side. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not stay home. It was her choice to carry 4 children and give birth to them. Your mother sounds self-centered and selfish. As far as toxicity in one's life and how blood doesn't equal family, I think you should apply that to your mother, not you. For once, Opie's mother is perfectly correct. Remove toxicity from your life, dear Opie. Blood doesn't equal family. Opie's mom is dripping with entitlement. 5 birthdays a year? $300 gifts? What's wrong with her? Out of curiosity, is this practice carried up the ladder to the next generation? Does grandma get presents on mom's birthday? This is a weird tradition that I have never heard of. Though it is important to note that while my mom does give gifts to my grandma on Mother's Day, she doesn't have to keep the same birthday traditions as us. On my mom's birthday, she doesn't give her mom anything, like we're expected to. Because 1, my parents couldn't afford it after having so many kids and having money tied up in that. And 2, because my grandma views us grandkids as a lifelong gift instead. I'm assuming my mom would also no longer expect a gift on my birthday if I had kids, but joke's on her, that's never going to happen. Not stay home. However, your mom though. Holy crap bucket. How the hell can you feel entitled to a $300 gift from your kid at 18 and expecting 5 birthdays a year? Your mom and your enabling family are messed up. I would have cut them off ASAP. Maybe leave an olive branch for your siblings if they want to run at some point as well. I'm 18, and if someone asked for a $300 gift from me, there's no way I would be able to pay for it. Edit. Thank you for all your feedback. I think it's really eye-opening, and I'm going to try to find a therapist so I can unload all this mess. Next story. Am I the a-hole for keeping my son from my mother-in-law after she tried to force a paternity test? Some background. Me, 28 female, and my fiancé, 34 male, have a blended family. He has 2 daughters from his previous marriage, ages 9 and 7, and I have a son from a past relationship, aged 6. Shortly after the birth of a second daughter, my fiancé had a vasectomy. He and I also have a 5-month-old baby boy. His conception came as a shock to us both, and my fiancé had a sperm count done, while he had some viable ones. We love our son, and I couldn't imagine life without him. But my fiancé's mom has made life hell. When she found out I was pregnant, she tried to convince him I cheated and said he shouldn't live with me until after the birth, and he should get a paternity test. She did her own research and said it was too unlikely that we'd conceive after a vasectomy, and a more obvious choice was that I was unfaithful. My fiancé shot this down, but mother-in-law said she refused to acknowledge our son until we get a test. I said, fine, he doesn't need you. She didn't come to our shower, the hospital for the birth, or even send a card. We haven't got the test done and don't plan to. Our son looks just like his dad when he was a baby. My mother-in-law caught wind that my parents have visited a baby recently. They live across the country and can't visit often because COVID, and is furious. She suddenly wants to be an involved grandma, and that I'm keeping her from her only grandson, and that most women would kill to have involved grandparents. I told her she needs to apologize and I need time to forgive, but she's given non-apology saying she was just trying to protect her son, and I'd do the same if I were in her shoes. No sorry, no baby. Fiancé is getting uncomfortable with our fighting and picking sides. He is with me that she's been unacceptable, but says she'll never really apologize and I need to compromise, or this will never end. I've heard from other people that I need to be the bigger person. I'm honestly tired of the arguments too, but I can't forgive her accusations so easily. Half of his family thinks I'm a catty cheater because of her. You absolutely do not need to be the bigger person here. I swear, that is a phrase created by people who don't want to take accountability for being abusive. Tell your fiancé that she has overstepped and that is not okay to pressure you into doing anything. If she's been like this once, something like this will happen again. She's literally defamed your entire character over an innocent situation with no regard to how it affected you. And your fiancé isn't taking this seriously enough either. Not stay home. And jellyfish enablers who enable and minimize other people's bad behavior. It's easier to make the victim apologize and be the bigger person than make a toxic person act decently. The husband needs to be a buffer between his mom and his partner. His mom has never apologized because people let her get away with bad behavior. Sometimes I hate enablers just as much as abusers, especially those who enable child abuse. Not stay home. Not stay home, but make sure you and fiancé really are on the same page about this, or we'll be seeing a follow-up later where he's letting mother-in-law around your baby without your knowledge. Not stay home. The mother-in-law refused to acknowledge her grandson, and is now making a surprised Pikachu face that you followed through and refused to acknowledge her as a grandmother. I mean, I can understand how she would be suspicious, but if your fiancé decided that it's his son, then it's his son, whether blood-related or not. And she should have had enough grace to, at least, respect her own son's decision. B, if she was that suspicious, she should have voiced her concerns to him in private, without making it a spectacle and making your life hell for the duration of your pregnancy. Instead, she decided to be nasty about it, and is now shocked that you hate her guts. What is her prize? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for turning down a family vacation because I would have to pay and my sister wouldn't? My 28 female parents are organizing a family holiday abroad and have approached me stating that they will be paying for my sister's 30 female holiday but not mine. This is because to them I can afford it and she cannot, and that is the only way we would all be able to go on vacation together. They couldn't pay for us both. That's their money, and they can do as they wish with it. And that I'm in a good spot financially right now, and my sister isn't. If I ever find myself in a bad spot, they will help me out. But to me, it's not that simple. I am more financially stable than my sister because I have chosen to live in a cheaper area, despite being further from my friends. Followed a career path where financial security is guaranteed, and always live well within my means. Whereas my sister has followed a career path which is, unfairly I admit, underpaid, insisted on living close to her friends despite high rent, and likes to spend more money on her lifestyle. My parents think the crux of it is that I am lucky that my passion lines up with a well-paid job, and my sister is unlucky that her passion does not. So my sister deserves more help due to that bad luck. They also think that I'm lucky to have a partner that I could move away to a cheaper area with. And my sister, who doesn't currently have a serious partner, is unlucky in that respect. So it would be a greater deal to move away from her friends, and therefore again unlucky. Again, they insist if the tables turn and our fortunes are reversed, they would help me out. Am I the a-hole for refusing this holiday and choosing one of my friends at the same time instead? If the money thing wasn't there, I would probably have chosen this family holiday. But I just feel like my frugal decisions are now being punished, and this is unfair. I'm not angling for my parents to pay for me too, and I also feel bad kind of suggesting, indirectly, my sister pay for hers, but I still feel really hard done by, and that my sister is being cuddled, and the fact that she spends quite a lot on a day-to-day basis, much more than me, is being rewarded. My parents and sister think I'm being money hungry, and not very compassionate to my sister's unlucky love life and underpaid profession. This is stopping us from going on vacation, all four of us, which is upsetting my parents. Am I the a-hole? Edit. People keep accusing me of judging my sister's spending. I'm not judging it at all. I think it's great she goes out and has a good time. We're just different. But at the end of the day, I'm still being asked to spend more than her on the same things. It makes my sacrifices not feel worth it. It's more a comment on the saving I do to be able to afford this holiday, rather than exactly what she/isn't doing in order to not afford it. Edit 2. My solution to this problem isn't to insist she pays and either bankrupts herself or doesn't go. I don't want that at all. We would never go without her if she couldn't afford it. So please stop telling me that's my ideal solution. I think we should find a cheaper holiday, or move the holiday back if she wants time to save or prioritize it over another holiday next year. I also would be fine if the money on each of us was proportional to salary, so that I wasn't made to feel like my frugality was for nothing, as that would be irrelevant. Now for the comments. Not stay home. It's their money to spend how they like it on who they want, just like it's your money to spend how you want and who you want. You made your choices to live within your earning bracket, while your sister, from your words, chooses to live above her means, knowing the income isn't there. Let them go on a vacation together, while you go vacation with friends. This. Also, you can say you'll be more than happy to pay your way on a holiday you want, where you want to go and do what you want to do. Remind your parents that, like them, you can spend your money how you please. Right here. If you're expected to pay your way and use your vacation time, it should be your vacation. It's pretty ballsy to decide the whole family must come to a specific vacation, but decide one kid gets to foot their own bill. That's regardless of them paying for the other child. That makes it so much worse. Not stay home. You pay for your vacation, you pick your vacation. Not stay home, in my opinion. Why can't your parents pay half for you and half for your sister? Then you both pay the remainder and it's fair. Your job security/financial security has nothing to do with us. They're just using it as an excuse. To make it fair, I tell them to pay half for each. Or the three of them can go on holiday and you'll do something else. No a-holes here. Your parents can do what they want with their money, even if it feels unfair to you. They seem to have this well thought through, and to me, the reasoning seems sound. You, however, have every right to feel a bit hard done by, particularly as you feel your sister is partially responsible for her lack of funds. If you feel you'd enjoy a holiday with your friends more than a family holiday, there is nothing a-holish about choosing not to go with your family, as long as you are doing it for that reason, and not just out of spite and childishness. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit for my sister? My female 19, sister 32 Mary, and her husband 28 John have twins, a boy and a girl, both 10 months old. My parents were ecstatic when they found out she was pregnant, as the twins were their first grandchildren, and my sister had been struggling with getting pregnant for a while. I was happy for my sister and John, but I couldn't help wondering how they were going to handle this financially. They're in quite a bit of a debt, and both work long hours. My question was answered a few weeks ago when we had a big family dinner. Me, parents, Mary, John, brother Mike, 21, brother Josh, 25, and his wife Sophie, 27. My sister announced she will be returning to work in 2 weeks, so they were gonna need everyone to chip in and babysit and to help out financially. I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked when I heard this because it sounded a bit ridiculous that they expect everyone to babysit their kids for free and to give them money for their debts. Mary went around the table asking everyone when they could watch the twins, so she could draw up a roster and how much money they could spare. Everyone was contributing, and Sophie was even talking about trying to move her work shifts around so that she could babysit. I'm a full-time college student and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time nor cash to spare. I'm also not great with kids. I literally have absolutely no idea how to take care of them. When Mary got around to me, she said she thought I could do the most hours since I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments. Her whole attitude kind of annoyed me, and I told her I wasn't going to babysit her kids, or going to chip in money-wise, and that it was her decision to have kids, so it's her responsibility. The room went silent and my sister started crying, and everyone started giving out to me for being selfish. And my mom said that in our family we take care of each other. I left the dinner because everyone was so mad at me and demanding I apologize. I agree that maybe I was a little blunt with her, and maybe I should have offered to babysit once or twice, but I don't think I'm completely in the wrong. My family's still pissed at me and my parents are demanding I not only apologize to Mary and John, but write them a check to help them out. I have like $70 in my bank account, so that's not gonna happen. I want to apologize for being rude, but I know they're still gonna expect help. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What they are asking for is ridiculous, and them expecting you to do more because you're in college is just absurd. If the parents of these children really are in debt like Opie said, then a baby should be the last thing on their mind. I think it is just unfair for a child to be brought up in an environment like that. If they can't look after the baby, then they shouldn't even be raising the baby. I think adoption should have been an option here. I'm a full-time college student and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time nor cash to spare. Opie should have just said this. This is enough reason why she doesn't want to babysit. Using her college student status to leech is just incredibly entitled. Opie not stay home. They are being ridiculous. They're having kids they aren't financially ready for. They want others to help out financially at their, others' expense. They're pushing their responsibilities onto other people. They decided this unilaterally. They demand help from people who can't give it. They used your college student status as an excuse to leech, dismissing your commitments and decisions. They don't respect your no. You're right that it should be enough if Opie were dealing with reasonable people. But Opie's family aren't being reasonable. In fact, they cited Opie being a college student as a reason they could do more babysitting.